Welcome to APA Style, Citing Sources, part of the Writing Center Research Series. This presentation is split into 4 sections. This is Section 2, Basic Rules for Creating and Formatting In-Text Citations in APA. This section is supported with a Let's Practice APA Citing Sources worksheet. You can pause this presentation now and print the worksheet from our website so you can follow along. We use in-text citation to give credit to the author for their original information and to allow the reader to look up the source in the list of references. An in-text citation usually includes the author's last name, the year of publication, and the page number. The page number is required for quotations, but is optional for paraphrases and summaries. The rest of the information about the source does not appear in the body of your paper, but rather appears in the references list, discussed in Section 4. You have 2 options for citation when you paraphrase or summarize a source in your paper. You can put the author's name at the end of the sentence, like in this first example, or in the sentence, like in the second example. Here's a rule to memorize. The publication year will always follow immediately after the author's last name, no matter whether you put the author's last name in the sentence or in parentheses at the end of the sentence. Also, the final period of the sentence always goes right after the closing parentheses mark or at the end of the sentence, whichever comes last. When you choose to use a quotation in your paper, you must include the author's last name immediately followed by the year of publication, just like you do for paraphrases and summaries. And you must also include the page number where you found the quotation. Here's the second key rule. The page number will always follow the quotation, no matter where you choose to put the author's last name in the sentence, and no matter where the quotation appears in the sentence. In the first example, right after the closing quotation marks, we put parentheses mark, author's last name, comma, publication year, comma, P period, and then the page number, in this case 21, closing parentheses mark, period. Notice that to put the page number we put P period and then the number. This is different from MLA. In the second example, we put the author's last name, of course followed by the date, in the sentence itself. But notice that the P period page number still follows directly after the quotation in parentheses. Even experienced writers don't memorize all of the rules when it comes to formatting. But here are the basic rules that you should memorize. For everything else, have a writing handbook or online resource close by to reference when you do your citations. Rule 1. Every in-text citation includes the author's last name immediately followed by the publication date. Rule 2. When including quotations, the page number always immediately follows the quotation. Rule 3. In APA, you put commas between information in the parentheses. This, again, is very different from MLA, which has no commas. And Rule 4. The period always goes at the very end of the sentence, after the citation in the parentheses, or after your own words if they come last. Okay, so let's practice. The following sentences all contain information from page 8 of a journal article written by the author Guy, published in 2005. Pause this video and try to properly create an in-text citation for these 5 sentences. The answers that follow use the simplest in-text citations, but there are other correct answers. So make sure to check the rules to see if your citation is correct, even if it doesn't match the answers we give. Okay, for the first sentence, another viewpoint is that the meaning of language is inherently social. There are no quotation marks, so we know that this is a paraphrase or a summary. That means we only need to include the author's last name and the publication year. We could add a signal phrase at the beginning of the sentence to put the author's name into the sentence, but the easiest thing to add is the parentheses, last name, in this case Guy, comma, date of publication, in this case 2005, parentheses, period, at the end of the paraphrase or summary. For the second example, we have quotation marks, so we need the author's last name followed by the publication year, and we need the page number, so we put parentheses Guy, comma, 2005, comma, P period, 8, parentheses, period, right after the quotation. We follow the rules, date following last name, and page number following quotation, and period at the end of the sentence. Sentence 3 includes a quotation and then words we the writer added after the quotation. To follow the rules, we must put the citation directly after the quotation marks, not at the end of the sentence. The period, of course, goes at the end of the sentence. Notice that there are no commas or other punctuation before or after the parentheses. For example 4, there are no quotation marks, so we don't need the page number. Also, notice that the author's name is already included in the sentence. This means that we just need to add the date, which, following the rule, goes right after the author's last name. So we have Guy, parentheses, 2005, parentheses, and then the rest of the sentence. The last example is the most elaborate, but it's a common one, and we're going to need all of our rules. We have a quotation, so the page number follows right after the quotation marks. The author's name is in the sentence, so we need the date right after it. So we have Guy's, parentheses, 2005, parentheses, and then the text. Theory that, quotation marks, language has meaning only in and through social practices, quotation marks. Parentheses, P period, 8, parentheses, and then the rest of our words, lends support for social learning theories, and then the period at the end of our sentence. We don't put a citation at the end of the sentence because the rest of those words, lend support for social learning theories, are ours, and we don't want to give credit away for the work we did. And that's it. How'd you do? Again, in-text citation follows a few basic rules. Some of them, like these 4, are worth memorizing. Of course, sometimes citation is trickier than this. The next section gives rules for what to do when sources have several authors, no page numbers, or other variations.